Alright, so like, I was born in that awkward ass time period where I was like too young to be a millennial, but too old to be a Gen Zer, so I didn't have the same nostalgic attachment to a Goofy movie as a lot of my totally real childhood friends did. So I'm like, hey, I hear a lot of good things about this movie, I'm gonna go check it out. So I gave this movie a watch, and I came out of it with two key takeaways. One, this movie is 90s as all hell, and two, who gave this movie permission to be this deep, huh? Like, it's a freaking movie about Goofy, man. They could have easily made this movie out to be just a cute little romp filled with slapstick comedy and some asinine moral about being yourself or whatever. But no, you had to go play with my emotions now and actually make me empathize with classic cartoon characters and have a legitimately top-notch soundtrack on top of all that. A Goofy movie is so unnecessarily moving, and now I understand why all of y'all love this movie so much. Now, of course, the movie's not perfect. The story is pretty straightforward, all things considered, and a fair chunk of the humor is pretty dated. But when this movie hits, it hits like a fucking truck, dude. And you know what? There ain't no better scene in this movie that exemplifies that than this one right here. The freaking hot tub scene, man. Okay, so quick recap. Max is an angsty 14-year-old who thinks his dad is like so embarrassing and just wants to see a Bobby Brown parody and bone every 90s kid's sexual awakening. Goofy thinks his boy Maxie is going down the path of a disgruntled school shooter, so he tries to reconnect with him by invoking a road trip movie. Max tries to stealthily lead the destination to said Bobby Brown concert, but he and Goofy kind of, end up having some legit fun along the way. Then they stop at this motel, and God, I want that pizza. And the hot tub scene commences, and shit gets fucking real. So it all starts off really light, you know? Goofy spazzes out a bit, and Pete's giant ass displaces the water. Then things start getting eerily quiet. Cause like, for one, Goofy starts waxing some decent lyrical about how being a tryhard only makes you disingenuous, and how organically communicating with each other is more effective at building a healthy relationship. But then Pete does this whole thing where he pretends to care, but is really only helping to inflate his own ego. Y'all know who you are. And he's like, your piece of shit son is clowning you, Goof. I tried to warn you. And then Goofy does the single most un-Goofy thing I have ever seen him do. He looks Pete dead in the eye, firmly tells him to fuck off, and walks away in utter silence. There's no cartoonish overreaction, no theatrics, no exaggerated look of devastation, just quiet defiance from beginning to end. Oh, but it gets better! Then Goofy trudges over to his car, where my man is hella conflicted and finding himself at war with his own beliefs. He punches out the steering wheel in a terribly raw moment of frustration, catches a glimpse of the map, and you know what happens next? Goofy fucking crashes, man. My dude goes back to the room looking so damn broken, like he just watched the second season of The Promised Neverland. He doesn't even acknowledge his own son in the room. Dude just shuts off the light and goes to bed without a single word. Honestly, it's all really unsettling. But in the best way. First time I saw this, I was like, damn son, that was heavy. And that is straight up the last thing I would ever thought I'd say about a Goofy movie of all things. Like, we all know who this character is. He's Goofy, he's a klutz, he's happy-go-lucky, he's got that ah-ho-ho-ho-hoi scream. Being a goofball is his whole brand, and let's be real. Ain't nobody was asking for a golden age character like Goofy to be any more three-dimensional or nuanced than that. But these mad lads did it. They did it, and it worked. Just listen to how Goofy reacts to Pete's accusation.
I don't need to check the map. I trust my son.
Like, bro, that deadass gave me chills right there. Who the hell went up to Bill Farmer and told him to give a restrained and deathly serious performance in Goofy's voice? Like, I always knew Bill could pull off a good cartoon voice, but I never realized that he was actually a damn good actor, too. It's like if Mickey Mouse suddenly said something like, Minnie, how could you betray me like this? You never expect household names to act this way, but then they do, and the best part of all is that it's totally believable. This movie sets up Goofy's character in a way that I could totally buy him sounding all dangerous in that moment. Oh, and don't think I forgot about Pete's response here.
Hey, my son respects me.
Bro, I can make a whole other video about Pete conflating fear and respect as his parenting method, but I already know I'm pushing your guys' attention spans with a Goofy analysis. Anyway, everything else that follows is cinematic gold. Goofy doesn't say a damn thing throughout the rest of the scene. Not one word, not one yuck. We learn everything we need to know about Goofy's thought process just from his expressions and actions or lack thereof. Now, I'm no writer by any means, but I did take a Screenplay 101 class in college, so my word is law? I just know that it's hella hard to convey a myriad of emotions through action alone, and that's especially true for someone like Goofy. He's the kind of character you recognize for the histrionics and funny voice, and so it hits you that much harder to see him as just this broken, emotionally devastated man whose entire world was just shattered. Hey, so who directed this thing anyway? Kevin Lima. And he's worked on Tarzan and Enchanted. Oh, no wonder this movie punched me in the gut. It was directed by an absolute genius. Look, I know most of y'all don't give a shit about art direction, but I just love the color palette here, man. See how the hot tub scene is washed in these blues, blacks, and whites? Now, I'm not a color theorist, but I do know that combination of colors is usually used when you want to have a shit's about to go down atmosphere. And considering how palpable the tension is between Goofy and Pete here, I'd say it's more than fitting. Then we get to the car, where Goofy's internal conflict is literally in a murky shadow. But right when he's about to leave, the glove compartment floods the scene in this luminescent orangey glow. Like the subversion, people! Everybody knows that warm, radiant colors like red, orange, and yellow following a long period of cool colors means hope, hope, and more hope. But this light is anything but hopeful. In a cruel, cruel irony, this light is the start of Goofy's darkness. A glaring symbol of his destroyed innocence. They used it once before with Max, and now it's all come full circle. Dude has a catatonic episode so bad from this reveal that it forces an artistic scene transition. And that superbly human reaction is what all of this really boils down to. Just look at what happens when Max fails the test of character. Goofy's face, dude! Have you ever seen Goofy this pissed before? I was so damn scared, man. Obviously he can't just kick his own son's ass in a kid's movie, so he does the next best thing. He immediately pulls over, exits the car, struggles with the seatbelt for a bit because dear God we needed some levity here, and storms off to collect himself on the curbside. Anybody who's ever pissed off a parent inside the family vehicle knows exactly what I'm talking about. This was such a dad move that I actually had secondhand anxiety from watching it. And that's pretty much how this movie went above and beyond the Call of Duty. It took one of Disney's most universal and baseline characters and made them feel like fully realized people, all without sacrificing their cartooniness. And honestly, I'd be pretty stoked if they did this kind of thing more often. We had it here with Goofy, they did it with Donald in DuckTales 2017, and they can do it again. Bro, just imagine if we had a Minnie Mouse movie about her opening a small town bakery in the middle of Manhattan and struggling to not compromise her ideals in an increasingly capitalistic marketplace and the stress it would put on her interpersonal relationships as a result. Wouldn't you watch a movie like that? Oh, you wouldn't? Well, I mean, of course you wouldn't, but I just figured that, well, I mean, I would watch a Minnie Mouse movie like that. I thought it'd be pretty cool, you know? Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, then please support my channel here. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a like and comment and share this vid. Please support me. Stay tuned.